Venture After, we build entrepreneurs to get startups funded, and it's real hard to do that when you're starting from zero. So we've invited 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. They're going to do 5-minute demos, not pitch, not sales. We're not here to sell you anything, but to give you demonstration about 5, maybe 6 different kinds of companies, different industries, of building tools different ways. It's pretty cool. So our first one is going to be Zach Lopez. No, it's not. Reese. Yeah. Zach Lopez is a real person. Maybe. Zach Reese with REMC. We're going to do this for about half an hour, and then one NCID will do their info sessions for how to win $10,000 and $50,000 grants. Folks sitting in the doorway, Davey, what's your own name? Be a pal. Make people feel at home. Come on in. It is uncomfortable walking up in front of a room of strangers and sharing your secrets of how you build your business. So let's give Zach a real big warm round of applause. Thank you. If you take 30 seconds, you can do this QR code. You don't help the presentation. Really drive home the point of all the moving parts that go on in this inside. I'll take it off here in 1 second. Starting timer. All right, so my name is Zach Reese. I am the founder and developer behind REMC, the software you're about to see. Quickly show of hands, how many of you have bought or sold a home? Never. All right, so great. Everyone understands that process. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the back end side of that process. Right? So currently, if you want to know anything about your office, you can go to our MLS and you can pull this ranking report. And that'll tell you everything about the agents at the office. And then if you want to know about an individual agent, you can pull this ranking report. And this is the current status. So if you have dozens and dozens of agents and transactions, this is all the clarity you get, and you got to do something like that, right? And then I made this. So this is a direct feed to the MLS. So it shows, this is live data from Weicker, who is one of my clients. You can see that they have 55 active transactions right now, 31 under contract, and they close 147 year to date. Everything's graphically represented. It's all visual. You can just immediately look in, and you can see the recent activity as well. So this helps managing agents. If you want to look at an agent, you can look at Madison, one of my good friends, and instead of that little report, we get this. And I can tell you everything about Madison's business, her recent activity, if I ever wanted to talk to her. Right? So a transaction kind of goes through 4 phases, right? So you've got active, which is new listed. Here are all their active listings, some stats about them, the money, and each one individually if you want to look into it, right? Once it's active, someone makes an offer, they agree, and it goes under contract. Same looking screen, different information because it's for those deals that are under contract. Finally, it'll close, and then you can get a report on that. And this is just data, right? But we're going for information, right? So here's our calendar that is auto-populated based on all the data from the MLS for those deals. As you can see here, yesterday they had a due diligence period ending on 238 Blooming Willow Drive. These are incredibly important dates for an office, and basically impossible to keep track of, especially at scale. Currently, they are waiting for the realtors to submit documentation, right? And you don't need to be a realtor to know that sometimes you don't do that at first day. The odds that they find out about deals the second they happen are closer to 0 than 100. So we get that directly from the MLS. So we'll kind of tie that in together and show you part of the demo. If you did sign up, it would be super cool if you turned on your ringer. So we have 22 agents in here, right? 22 of our temporary agents. Fine, Zach, I know you're big. You're broker in charge, right? So when a listing goes on, again, right now they're waiting for the realtor to give them this information. The second they put it on the MLS, though, because they want their credit for Zillow and everything, I know that, and I immediately send every one of them a text saying congratulations, for one, on behalf of the office, and 2, hey, we would love to see that paperwork in the next 2 days, because that's basically what the office is requiring. When you have a listing that is already on the market, once it goes under contract, you send another text, and you say, hey, congratulations on going under contract. I would love that paperwork, right? I would love that paperwork to come in so we can start staying ahead of everything. Finally, there's an incredibly important date, which is the due diligence. Due diligence date is a day where money exchanges hands, basically. If you don't bring up the issues you may have with the property by this date, you're basically locked in for the home, right? So tremendous amount of liability for the office, and it behooves them to give them at least a week out, right? You can see these are color-coded. You'll see this office, for example, on the one day had 14 more here, 15 more. There are a lot of moving parts that go into these transactions. Finally, the deal will close, but 7 days before that, we'll send you a text as well and say, hey, are there any loose ends? Is there anything we can do to help make sure that this transaction stays on track? So you're helping not only your agents, but the office staff and the clients, important, the people trying to buy and sell homes. Finally, we like to call this service quasi-automated. So I automate all the things that don't necessarily need a human touch, but finally, you'll see here when it closed, every morning the broker in charge gets an email, and it tells them what happened the night before. This is last night's email, right? So Ed was a buyer's agent and sold something. Madison, who we looked up, was an agent, and she sold something as well. And if I want to reach out to that agent personally, all I have to do is click there, and it says, congrats on closing that. So we basically take everything that you can, using the data, leverage it, and bring top 1% producer best practices to everyone. It's the idea of the rising tide and all ships rise. So I'll give you back 45 seconds. Thank you so much for your time, and have a nice morning.
I love the demo and all the dinging and the buzzing. That was not people being rude. That was being considerate. Thank you, Zach. Our next presenter is Russell Guilfoyle. Russell made a schlep in from another part of the state to be part of the show and tell. And what's so cool about Zach is Zach had a code so much of that app you saw today. Russell is doing the opposite. Russell is using no code to build his automated app.
What program?
You're going to find out.
Get into that.
No, Bill, I was about to tell you it was Wix.
I could lie to you in the presentation.
Take it away, Russell. Well, let's give Russell a big round of applause. What are you?
All right, good morning. So my name is Russell Guilfoyle. I'm the non-technical founder for Bundle. So it's an online marketplace for professional services that saves businesses time, money, and keeps them anonymous in the RFP process. So the solution, I'll get to the demo, the solution essentially is looking at is the inefficiencies in the request for proposal process for professional services. Let's get this thing done. So you go to the website and you go to the services list. That should be, there we go. And so the services list would have professional services, there are big categories, and then within those subcategories. So let's say that this business is looking for IRS audit monitoring services. There would be a brief description of what the service is. The business decides they want a proposal for that service. They would click on it, take them to the Common App, which is a Common App for requesting that service to build a proposal or request for proposal. So the first section of that is the eligibility assessment. So you don't want businesses wasting their time requesting proposals for services that they're not eligible for. So going through the Common App, this business is going to fill it out in a way that makes them eligible for the service. They go all the way to the end. Right now they would download that Common App RFP, and then they would request services using that RFP that they just downloaded. So instead of filling out 10 different RFPs for 10 different providers to get those services, they fill out one. They put in the email address that they want proposals sent to, as well as the location of the business, just the state, and then the service that they're requesting. Then upload the RFP that they just created, and they'll click Request for Proposal. And the next step then is the business checks their email. They'll have received a link. That link is a private, secure, password-protected Dropbox folder in which it has their RFP as well as where they will receive proposals from providers. The Dropbox keeps the business anonymous in the process. So look, the business has already received a proposal from Snelling Black Law Office for IRS audit monitoring services. And so all the business would do after they fill out that Common App is they just sit back and relax and wait for more proposals to come in. No more filling out additional proposals for additional services. So, like I said, I'm a non-technical founder of this. So I did it using all no-code solutions. So what I did do, let's see. So I'll go through one of the workflows, actually the workflow that you just saw, but what I'm using on the back end is I use WordPress for the website, I use Airtable for the database, I use Google Workspace for email, using Dropbox and OneDrive. Dropbox for that RFP proposal exchange, OneDrive for bundles, filing storage. I use SignNow for electronic contract and e-signature. And then I use Zapier to bring it all together. And they use formidable forms and cognito forms for the forms on the site. So I did this in 6 months with a full-time job and no tech background. And it's a fully, I mean, it works. You can do a full sales cycle for IRS tax audit monitoring. So in this case, you know, what happens in that demo when the business presses that red button, that request proposals, what it does is it creates an entry in cognito forms, which then creates an entry in Airtable that takes all that information that the business just filled out and then created the RFP, puts it in a record, creates that secure Dropbox that the business will then access, along with a shared link that's password protected for the business. Then there's a redundancy folder for Robundo. It goes back into the Airtable record to put the shared link that it just created into that record. Airtable then is what sends out that email that you saw that we received with the access link. And then there's also the RFP goes into a backup file, basically a Robundo system in OneDrive. Then the rest of it down here is actually just that automation for selling flock off is to generate the proposal immediately upon request. And there's a lot more than just this, but I was trying to figure out what to fit into 5 minutes. But the goal of what I wanted to demonstrate or communicate was that even if you are a non-technical co-founder with a text-based idea, that your first step isn't necessarily that you have to find a technical co-founder. There's very likely solutions out there that can help you, bring your idea to life all by yourself. So I don't know where I'm at on time.
Just over, it's perfect. That's great. Well done, Russell. The first time Sean Captain is recording this, and we're going to post it to the Venture Asheville social media pages that we're going to watch after, because Russell dropped like tons of nuggets here of tools to use, and I bet every single one of them has a free trial for a period of time or a certain amount of space. So if you want to start tinkering, so you could build an automated product, it costs nothing to get started. So we'll put that video online. Thank you, Russell. That was awesome. All right, up next is Eric. Eric, we found Eric through Digital Nomads. So if you don't know, Digital Nomads is over 740, maybe 750 members here in Asheville. It started 13 months ago. That's like insane, right? So we expect to have over 1,000 members by the end of the year and continue to grow. And we talked to Rick Pratt and Ben Newton. They came from our mentorship program that started the Digital Nomad Group. They very kindly shared this with all their members. And Eric's one of the guys who came out from that blast. So he's a game developer, and he's going to talk about it. Is that one on? Can you double check it? All right. And I'll let Eric take it away. Let's give him a round of applause.
Past 6 months, I built this. It's what appears to be a video game, kind of is a video game, but on an ulterior level, it's more of a simulator. It's an education platform. I use Unity game engine, which is a free software tool set. And after a couple of minutes, you'll actually see me using the tool set to create a world in front of you. The inspiration from this was my story. The past 10 years, I bought a little patch of woods and built a little house and a little chicken coop and all kinds of things. And it was a very character-building, adventurous experience, and I wanted to convey that in an immersive way. And I think that's a new platform for teaching, because I've always been a horrible student. I've loved learning, but put me in a classroom and I started counting sheep. So this is more engaging. This fits my style, and I thought maybe someone else would see that as well. Here it's running the land, harvesting firewood, and I was going to go hunt something. But the last year, the game industry was $154 billion. And that's a big number, and it actually makes me kind of sad because I was addicted to video games for about 6 months of my life, maybe 10 years ago. And it creates this kind of split.
What was your background before being game developer?
Oh, I've been a web developer since 2006, programming Ruby, coder. And even though I made great, achieved great levels in that, it was always, I had this ulterior life that was that creative itch, and I couldn't move the creative itch into the Ruby developing, so I jumped out and created this. So here I am. This is a terrain, which is a plane that you can create a 3D shape out of, and then I'm adding mountains. This is like 3 kilometers, I think. 3 kilometers.
And this is sped up a little bit.
It's 16 times speed, yeah. But in an hour, you have a world that you can put in your game. So I create hundreds of maps like this just to get a feel for it. I don't know, it kind of gives you a God complex, you know. But I was telling Jeffrey that the power of any kind of digital form is magic. You know, you're creating with the palm of your hand, you're creating something out of thin air that doesn't really exist, and you can distribute it worldwide. So I think that's pretty cool. And for me to be able to drift into something that's more fun and enjoyable.
And this represents like a democratization of software, right? So what big names have been building the same software that you're building your game on?
I don't know the major
You might have looked at Wikipedia page.
I need to pull the Wikipedia page
I think it
up.
was a bunch of Nintendo games. Like,
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Like a major game company, the biggest game companies in the world use the same engine that you can have access to.
Yeah, the other main competitor is Unreal Engine, and that's been in the works for a while. This is newer, but it's rapidly catching pace, and it's what allowed me to make the first demo was the asset store. So Unity has an asset store where artists, modelers, coders, they contribute what they like to do, and then it's like Legos. So I did very little of my own. It was more of an assembly, painting a picture with their paints that they created. It's just been lots of fun. So I would encourage anyone who has a similar kind of interest to pick it up. I'm putting a little YouTube where I'm sharing the tips on how to use Unity and the tools to create whatever you can imagine, really. Jeffrey asked if we could ask, what am I asking of the community? And I guess I'm looking to build a community around people that see simulators as educational tools to kind of erode the stigma of video games and kind of, reel back the lost time that people are spending in their video game world. If you're interested in this, what I showed in the 2 minutes, I'm looking for beta testers, so reach out to me and I'll send you a link and you can help me beta test. That's another thing. Yeah. So
30
this,
seconds.
30 seconds, yeah. So this here, I wish the quality was better, but these trees were actually scanned from the real world with 3D imaging software, and they look crisp. The image quality isn't that great, but it's really impressive what you can create. So,
This is very impressive. Thank you. Eric. We've got one more tech focused, and then one, maybe 2 product focused. So let's bring up LJ. That's what we call her. You might call her Lori Jorgensen. Stay close to the table. Watch that black tape on the ground. That's how you stay on camera. Thank you again, Sean Hampton. The Writer Box and the Writer Box are one of the world's leading subscription boxes for elite and recreational athletes. That's how it started, but wait till you see where their story goes from here.
Wait till you see what we've got for you now. So this is our current website, and the software I'm going to show you is a complete rebuild of that. So we've been working on that for my business partner coordinating, we co-own it together 2 years, probably 3. Just 2 years in the making. We're getting close. This is our old website. So this is built on WordPress. This is with the WooCommerce overlay. 2 brands, a little louder. By a dual branding on this website, which has been a big struggle for us because we have started with Runnerbox. You can see very runner focused, not rider focused. So we've outgrown this, which is awesome. Yeah, give us a round of applause. Man, 2 years ago we had come to this point where like, what do we do? Because we can go to Shopify, we can rebuild on something else, or we can really try to scale this thing and go custom. So that is what we're in the middle of doing. We're really, really close. So I'm going to show you the new website. So what we've done, which we're really excited about, we're switching away from Google branding. It's going to be a completely bifurcated website with a shared backend. So that's part of the reason we went custom. You can't really do that if you just get Shopify. So this is the Runnerbox website. We've got all sorts of like fancy animations and things to keep people engaged, which I think like if you're not doing this in the website space now, you're in trouble. Like everyone's got an e-commerce store, and if you aren't special, you don't have a lot. Now with it's just sorry, it's back. So with the old website, if you look at that, the server's down. Well, I'll show you anyway. On our old website, right now, if you buy, I just don't have internet.
The Wi-Fi password is right here. Catch it, then.
Yeah, I have the Wi-Fi.
Capital
Make
I.
sure you're on Cash Event Center.
2022.
Which one?
Go to Cash Event.
This doesn't count.
I'm just positive.
Okay, that's that. Cross our fingers, as our developers tell me all the time, just give it a hard reset. I'm like, it's not working, just give it a hard reset.
Can I do a fun fact why I do that? Your co-founder, Courtney Lowe, CeeLo, was the fastest #1, is this right? Bike racer in the little island nation of New Zealand. There you go, Courtney. #1!
We're back. Okay, so on the old website, this was a big challenge for us. There was a lot of friction. So right now, like we could in text on WordPress write all over that it's $28 box. But then we had to like shoehorn this prepaid business. So everyone wants prepaid, they want different plans. So then, okay, you bought a year, but like shipping is $18. And then people instantly abandoned or freaked out because it's $3 per box, but you're getting a year's worth of boxes. So one of the cool things that we're able to do on the new website is itemize everything in our cart. Also have a very fancy box that we roll over into things that we're very excited about. Yes, thank you. Lots of animations, lots of different things. If there's any quirks, we are in Elements, but I'll go home. We know all those things. But again, just like a lot of gifts, different things that you can do. And then we put it in the cart. If I do 3, it has all this itemization times 3 is X amount of dollars per box times 6, and then it can break it all down. So it's really, for the user, it's a much better interface, and we get a lot less abandonment from the cart. Then this is probably what we're most excited about. We have a lot of people that come and they're like, we want to buy for our whole cross-country team. Do I have to make 10 different transactions? And we're like, yes, you do. You have to go through the cart 10 times. And if you go through any Shopify thing, that is always the case. If you want to ship to more than one place, it's a different transaction. So since we're building this custom, you say, I want to ship these boxes to different addresses. And you can put as many things in your cart as you want and send them to a million different places. Which, that I know that sounds like not that much, but it's something that is actually a big process. And for anyone that's like a big geek and loves backend stuff, how we did that, this is our backend. We have an orders table and then we have a shipment table. So everything's based off shipments rather than orders. It's like a whole different functionality. We built out the whole thing and like blew my brain into one pieces. But like, how do we do it though? But it's really, really cool, and I think it's again like less friction points the better.
So that's all one order, and
Yes.
then multiple shipments.
And then like here, like for subscription business, I just want the first box to come soon because it's Christmas and I need it there now, and the rest of them I don't care. You can expedite only the first box, so it's a lot of really small customizations that are awesome. I can delay the shipment and because it's multiple shipments, I want this one to ship on December 22nd and this one to ship on the 23rd. It doesn't matter, you can do as many things to as many boxes as you want. I'm not gonna click this because we're really excited. Like all the little things, like it's a lot of little stuff that just make it a lot of fun. And then once I place my order, and obviously loading speeds won't be like this once we're live, but this is still in our development sandbox. But once I place the order, another thing that that I think will actually drive a lot of revenue if it ever gets there, is that once you place the order, a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. It's going to the wrong address. Oh no, we have this, like, basically it's an abort button. So it's, the difference, like, if you guys use Stripe, it's the difference between authorize and capture. So we authorize all our information, but we haven't captured their payment. And like for us, like this is a $400 order, we're gonna pay $20 in fees, but we're not, because we haven't captured the order yet. They can still cancel and go over do anything they want. So that's kind of like the rundown cart and checkout is where we have a huge amount of customization, and then right down to like the emails, if I get one from the website, please don't, because like we have gifts all over, website all over, everywhere. Again, bad, good. I would say, like, I know Courtney would agree, like, this is honestly one of the hardest undertakings we've ever done, and it's taken 3 times as long as we thought, which I think is pretty common in software, but I would say at the end, like, we are incredibly excited to launch it by Christmas, and I think it's worth it. Not opposed to like Shopify or anything like that, but I think if you are going to do an e-commerce website, once you figure out like your best practices and what you need, it's actually been a really fun project to do something customized like this. There's definitely nothing like this in the subscription space. So, I talked to Jeff about it, like eventually we could license the software. So if you're in a space like that you're like, man, I just don't build what I want or need, I say build it, and they will come. Depending on that person did it. But anyway, this is our website. Hopefully once it's live and the whole thing is real, I'll be able to come back to Million Cups and do like a whole pitch reel about the whole deal. But thank you for your time.
White chairs in the back, full now. And that was awesome. Thank you for that. Well, Elder, for that. Yeah, so we saw 4 different kinds of tech companies using out-of-the-box software, no-code tools, individual coder. And in that instance, LJ and Courtney, that was all custom built through contractors and teams. So you saw 4 different kinds of tech companies using 4 different approaches to build a software product. If we could kill the projector for a moment, Andy, so that Sanford could present. One of the largest industries in our region is the outdoor gear and products industry. Sanford Snyderman came out of the Waypoint Accelerator, funded by the ARC Grant, coordinated by Mountain BizWorks, Christine and Ash. You guys are part of Waypoint. We're part of Waypoint. It's a great time. Let's bring up Sanford with the truck roll.
Let me say one more thing. So for those who use microphones, I'm going to quote our good friend Dan Radin from Oxbus, who said, you should hold the microphone between a finger and a fist from your mouth. Right to the side from your mouth.
Thank you.
See if that works for you.
My name is Sanford Steinman. I'm the founder of Trek Roll, a bedroll-style sleeping bag with a fitted airbed that packs up in a weatherproof duffel, made in Asheville, North Carolina. Which was not an easy path. The inspiration was 3 years ago, and COVID came, and the factory I had intended to work with in North Carolina was not able to do the project. Searched nationally, couldn't find anybody to do it. Learned how to sew, gathered this group, found flex space in Asheville, and we are in production. So what we did, I designed it for comfort. The majority of the sleeping gear on the market is designed for backcountry use, which ounces count more than comfort. So what we did is we rethought the features that would provide that. We have a roomy 78 by 28 inch rectangular shape. We have full-length YKK zippers on both sides for ease of access. A cotton blend fabric feels nicer than the synthetics on the market. It's machine washable, which surveyed very strong. And it's a compact 32-inch length and a 9-inch diameter, and it weighs 10.5 pounds. It's ideal for car camping, music festivals. I think campus market is going to be excellent. And grab-and-go sleeping gear. We are brand new. We are just in production and are looking for foundational relationships that will help us grow this into a national brand based in Asheville.
I love that the whole industry is saying, go lighter, go smaller, and you're saying, no, go for comfort.
Casual camping.
Casual camping and comfort, yeah, it's great. So we have a bonus. Oh my gosh, is it overtime? Did someone win the Mega Millions last night? No, nobody won. So now it's $1.02 billion if you want to play later in the winter next week. So I'll be buying a shitload of tickets. Can we all split those with me? We'll get it on a little group going. You in? All right. We have a bonus. If it's Asheville, we can't not do a food and beverage company. So we've got Brew Tea. Ashley Haywood's going to come up and show a real quick product demo as well. Russell's assisting with the laptop. Andy, if you turn the projector on back one more time, I'm going to leave it on to the NC Idea is going to go. And then this will be our final bonus special show and tell. Let me tell you, I had the bourbon white tea last night. Definitely got hints of bourbon. Yes. Was in there. And Ashley Haywood was a presenter at 1 Million Cups not too long ago.
Yes, he was.
This will be a different kind of presentation. This is again the show and tell. So we demonstrate.
I can get started.
Yeah, great, cool. I'll walk away. Thank you.
So today was actually the perfect morning and exactly why I created my tea. I had a virtual Toastmasters meeting this morning that I really wanted to go to because I missed the last 3. I was on vacation and I was jet lagged from vacation. So I got to go and I only had about 4 minutes between the time that ended and getting here this morning. But I really wanted to take a cup of tea with me. And grocery store tea bags are meh at the best. I'm usually disappointed. I love high-end loose leaf tea, don't love messing with an infuser, and didn't have time. So I took one of these exact tea bags, took 2 minutes to boil water, put it in my cup. This is what you're getting for a product demo. It's very simple. Hot water, tea bag, run out the door. This is bourbon smoked white, what Jeff was just mentioning. It's a white tea blended with raw sugar that's been smoked with authentic Kentucky bourbon barrel wood. I have a decanter outside. Maybe some of you saw it, maybe some of you tried it. It's there. Please don't leave me with any. Make sure you try some. But I can leave it in the tea cup. Not all of my blends are this way, but I can leave it in the tea cup. The tea bag is still in there, and it's not going to oversteep or ruin the tea. I have been obsessed with this idea of outsmarting my future self. And I didn't quite realize that's what I was doing until I heard James Clear use the term. And really, that's all what planning ahead really is, right? We're doing things to help ourselves. I'm making my kids' lunches the night before. I am sending a meeting agenda ahead of time. I'm putting things by the door so I don't forget to grab it on the way out. These things do a tremendous thing, and I give myself the hardest high five when I do myself a solid, and the rest of the day goes perfectly smooth because I did this one little thing. So I created this lightly sweetened tea bag so that I could perpetually have a really great cup of tea, even if I barely had any time. So I created this at a time that I needed it the most. I had 2 kids under 2 years old, and I was just drawn down into the vortex of momming and diaper changing and feeding and cleaning up, and I found myself only wanting to have a hot cup of tea, and those fleeting self-care moments in tea time were being sabotaged by the infusers and the tea leaves and that little bit of honey at the bottom of the honey bear that just takes forever. You're waiting for it to come down. And I don't have to worry about that anymore because I literally put a tea bag in hot water and I went out the door. But don't just take it from me. Let's hear from one of my best customers. Her name's Angelica. God love her. She is a middle school teacher, and she loves carrying brew with her on her teacher cart because she doesn't have time to go to the teacher's lounge all the time to mess with the whole deal or any other type of tea. Here's Angelica. Do we have sound?
Not put the microphone on speaker.
See what happens. If not, I would just tell her what she says.
Ross, come and be associated.
She looks thrilled.
I know why.
So basically, she is a self-proclaimed procrastinator. She's constantly on the move, especially as a teacher, and she carries a brew tea with her. She loves creamy honey oolong. She's been buying it from me religiously for about 2 years. It is a really simple oolong tea that has granulated honey already inside. And again, it makes for a really simple, super high-end cup of tea. So I spent the last 6 years building this brand that I fully and wholeheartedly believe in. I source all of my ingredients as close to the farm as I possibly can. All of my packaging is compostable now that I meet the minimums finally for manufacturing, which I'm super proud of, and I'm unwilling to make those little exceptions just to bring down the cost. And in a time like this, that gets really challenging because inflation and costs are rising. I haven't increased my price over the course of 6 years. I set the price high, knowing that things were going to change, and I would rather lower the price for my customer once I am at a volume that I can do that and I can share that cost savings with them. I built a brand that I believe in on social and through my website, and now I'm pushing into retail. So I'm spending a lot of time focusing on getting into retail. My goal is to be in 500 stores within 12 months, and I'm trying to raise some seed money to help me get to some of those buyer shows. I want to go to 4 or 5 buyer shows in Atlanta, New York City, Las Vegas, so that I can meet those buyers in person. They're coming to me but also I can spend hours and hours on the phone and writing emails to these buyers and not get a response from being at those buyer shows. I have face-to-face interaction with them. I can taste the tea and put it in their hands and be more successful that way. So that is what is coming up.
Great.